Sha'ab is an Arab town in the North District of Israel. It has an area of 5,442 dunams of land under its jurisdiction. In 2014, its population was 6,480. History. French scholar Jackmcbarn associated Sha'ab with Sha'ab, a place mentioned by 1st-century writer Josephus. In the 14th century, the tax income from the village was given to the Wakf of the Madrasa and Mausoleum of the Shafi'i Manjak in Egypt. Ottoman Era. In 1517, Sha'ab was incorporated into the Ottoman Empire along with the rest of Palestine. In 1573, Sha'ab was one of several villages in Galilee which rebelled against the Ottomans. In 1596, the village appeared in Ottoman tax registers as being in the Nahiyah of Acre in the Liwa of Safad, with a population of 139 Muslim households. It paid taxes on wheat, barley, fruit trees, occasional revenues, and goats and bees. According to local tradition, the village started to flourish under anti-Ottoman rebels Ahir al-Umar. In 1859, the population was estimated to be 1,500. Some were Catholic, the majority Muslim. The cultivated fields were estimated to be 80 fedrins. Guerin visited in the 1870s and wrote that the village of Sha'ab consisted of 4 quarters. The inhabitants, he wrote, were for the most part Muslim, about 800, and some 20 schismatic Greek families. The Muslims had 2 mosques and 2 walas. In 1881, Sha'ab was described as being in a valley with fine olive groves, while part of the hill behind it was cultivated in corn. British Mandate Era. In the 1922 census of Palestine conducted by the British Mandate authorities, Sha'ab had a population of 1,206 Muslims and 40 Christians, increasing slightly in the 1931 census to 1,277 Muslims, 19 Christians and 1 Jew, in a total of 284 houses. During the 1936 revolt in Palestine, the British Army attacked Sha'ab, demolishing 190 houses in the village. According to an eyewitness account, the British collectively punished the village for harboring a rebel who allegedly set off a roadside explosive that killed 4 British soldiers and injured 3. A day prior to the demolition of the homes, the army rounded up around 200 of its adult male residents and led them to a valley outside the village. As they were being lined up, a rebel fighter positioned on a nearby hill began yelling and firing into the air, confusing the soldiers and causing Sha'ab's detained men to disperse chaotically. 1 resident named Hassan Haj Khatib was killed. By 1945, Sha'ab had 1,740 inhabitants, all classified as Arabs. They owned a total of 17,870 dunams of land, while 121 dunams were public. 3,248 dunams were used for plantations and irrigable land, 6,602 dunams for cereals, while 231 dunams were built-up land. 1948 War and Aftermath. Sha'ab was captured by the Israel forces on July 19, 1948 during the First Arab-Israeli War. The villages surrendered without a fight, and the village was subsequently depopulated in the Palestinian exodus. Still, Sha'ab was found by the IDF's 9th Brigade still to be inhabited in December 1948, and the residents were expelled on foot. The village was the headquarters and hometown of Abu Isaf, leader of one of the most effective local militias during the war and someone viewed as a hero by many Arabs in the area. Most of Sha'ab's original residents became internally displaced refugees, settling in nearby Arab villages, predominantly in Majd al-Kram and Saknan. Meanwhile, many refugees from the depopulated villages of Al-Bawa, Al-Daman and Mia were settled in Sha'ab in 1948 and were joined by refugees from Kirad al-Ghanam and Kirad al-Bakara in the Hula Valley in 1953. The original residents of Sha'ab protested the circumstances and launched a campaign soon after the war's end to return to their homes. They gained the sympathy of most of the refugees from the Hula Valley and Al-Bawa, but faced resistance from the former residents of Al-Daman and Mia. By 1950, roughly 10% of Sha'ab's original inhabitants returned to the village and eventually many more were given permission to resettle. Notable buildings. Mosque of Zahir al-Umar. The Mosque of Zahir al-Umar is situated in the center of the old village. In 1933 it was inspected by Naim Makhouli from the Palestine Antiquities Museum, who found that the mosque dated from the time of Zahir al-Umar. In 1933 the mosque was in disrepair. Pictures from the time show two arcades. One had 4 arches connected with the side wall, with 2 columns in the center. A reused Ionic capital could be seen, and above the doorway was a reused Roman lintel. Andrew Peterson, an archaeologist specializing in Islamic architecture, surveyed the mosque in 1994. He found that the present mosque, built in the 1980s, encased the old building. The old part is the prayer hall, has an entrance to the north. This hall is square, covered with a dome. The dome rests on large squinches, which are supported by corbels. According to Peterson, the domed prayer hall is consistent with an 18th century construction date. Tomb of Sheikh Alami. The Maqam Sheikh Alami is situated south of the mosque, within its enclosure. It is built at a slope, where the ground rises to the south. On the east side there are 2 entrances, to the Maqam, and to an underground cistern. The building is rectangular, 10 by 20 meters, with an interior divided into 2. The southern part contains a mihrab and is covered with a barrel vault. The northern end is covered with the dome, and has 2 large cenotaphs. According to Peterson, the buildings appear medieval. Bibliography.